All right, guys, I'm going to show you some redneck engineering at its finest right here. I'm working on, I ordered some more bolts for this rear axle from Summit, and I wanted ARP 12-point bolts for my U-joint caps here. So anyway, they came in, and the little washer thing that's made on them is just a little too wide. It actually is barely hitting the edge of this. So they needed to be filed down a little bit. So what I did, now don't laugh because this works. Anyway, I zip tied a corded drill in my bench vise, and I chucked the bolt up in here, and then I plug it in, and it's going wide open. And then I've taken my roll lock and running on it, and it's filing it down. I am using a caliper, so I'm doing a little bit of a time, so I actually get them all the same. And then I use a file because the roll lock disc actually leaves pretty good marks in it. And then I go to a finer file, and then I'm going to 80 grit. This is a used worn piece of 80, and then I'm using 180 on this. I've got to I got to dig in my cabinet over there. I need a little piece of 320. But anyway, I'll go to 320, and then I'm going to use my buffing wheel and repolish them. But anyway, when the head gets down, it's about like that. And so anyway, that's as redneck gets. I had to do that a couple years ago on some other bolts. The heads were interrupting the bracket I was using, so I did that. But anyway, now these little 10 bolts, they actually just take a bolt like that. And that's it. There's no nut on the back because this is threaded. So what I did was I bought 2-inch long bolts. That gives me enough thread, coming out of the back of the nut after the nut's tightened down. It'd be perfect length. The problem with that was the shoulder on the bolt hit the threads before it got down where it needed to be. So I had to drill it out. So I used a piece of masking tape on here for my depth gauge, and I drilled, and then I went back and cleaned it up with a 5/16 by 24 tap. And so I got just a little bit of thread in the back, so I'll run the bolt down and I'll tighten them down, and then I'll put the nuts on the back. So it's just a little extra, but like all the older cars that you mess with, they have nuts and bolts. So I just wanted the little bit of extra on there, you know what I mean? But it just looks cooler with a nut on the back of it, I think. But anyway, it's just what I had to do because of the length of the shoulder on a 2-inch long 5/16 by 24 bolt that I got from ARP. These bolts are stronger than a grade 8, so they'll be fine for that drive shaft. But this is just sitting on there. It's not bolted. That's why it's sticking out so far. I actually had it off while I cleaned the threads on it. But anyway, after I don't have this tight, but after that lock washer gets crunched down, that thread will come out just a little bit past the nut, so it'll be perfect. But it'll be a nice little detail on there. Also, these caps, they're really, really rough cast through here. I mean, it's pretty gnarly looking. So I'll go through with my roll lock, probably with some 80 on it, and I'll clean it up real good, smooth it out, and then I'll go back with a Scotch-It disc on there, a little 2-inch Scotch-It, and clean it up even more. It has lines in it. I don't know if you can see that. It has little lines in it, and then there's another little line right there, a little mark. So I'm actually going to put filler in these and clean them up. They are angle cut right here, so I'm actually going to file that edge down just a little bit. I just don't want it sharp on it, nice and rounded. But it should look pretty good when it's done. But it's just them little detail things, and this is the stuff I like. This is when you do something like that, it just makes it more personal for me, but pretty custom, and that's pretty cool. So anyway, guys, that's it for the redneck engineering of the day. That was your tip, I guess.